And off we go, folks. Big hit of the llama.
I almost like our after party intro a little bit better.
I was just thinking that I hated our after party intro, seeing those damn Yankee shorts.
Those
but you know what?
Hey,
it
just for that. There's your smack of the week right there. It's your
best intro in the game.
So that's the best intro in the game right there. You are right, Dave.
Well, as we could see on the scroll at the bottom in the ticker, U.S. Ryder Cup captain's picks for today. Nothing, I'm going to say this. One surprising name, I think.
Is it?
Two.
Sam Burns?
I don't think there's a surprising name on this list.
Well,
it's more
none of us had Sam
off.
Burns last night. Yeah. None of us had Sam Burns last night. Yeah. I mean,
I think that we went with, in all of our picks, even we had some, was who's hot right now, who's going to play the best together. I think that Zach went with experience and fan pick is really what I think it was. I think that's actually the same person. So
there's a lot of talk about it being a good old boys network to be on the Ryder Cup team now. And we can talk this later when we talk about who wasn't on the team. But yeah, I think when I look at the picks today, I think he went the safe route.
Yeah.
I don't know that he went the locker room route, and I think that could be key. I mean, the locker room was completely divided when Tom Watson was there, although they were all divided because of Tom Watson as captain, and it was why the way they are now with the pods and the whole committee and everything else. So I think that is is a good, is it good, bad, or different? We're going to find out. We're going to find out if this formula still works. We haven't won in Europe over 30 years. So let's see where this goes in a month.
And I think that you're making these picks, and it's tough because, like I said before, if you just went, hey, we're not going to allow any live players on, and we're going to go this, and that's what people were saying, then if we lost, you're going to go, oh, we should have had those players on there. Like,
correct.
That's going to be what's going to happen. So Zach's in a tough spot here. He has to put together what he thinks he can captain, and right. I don't think he made bad picks. I think that right. I just noticed Dave's thing. I took my honorary captain and off. But I think that he made safe picks. I think he made the picks that he feels that he can captain through this.
At the end of the day, it's a team event, and you need guys that are going to play well together as a team. And I think that's who he kind of went with. Yeah, it is the good old boys network, Jordan and JT and Ricky. But it's those three guys. They know each other. They play well together. They play all the time together. And I think in the long run with match play, that really, it's going to come back to help. It may not be the best players available, but it may be the best team players available.
Yeah, I think the one locker room dynamic that's going to be interesting is Koepka and Cantley.
Yeah,
I mean,
if it was Koepka a couple years ago, it may have been drama. But I think I think he's in a different. But I think he's in a different headspace than what he was a couple years ago. That he may say something to him, but they're not to be in the same pod. But I think at the end of the day, Koepka is big enough to understand, what being on the Ryder Cup means, and kind of just put it aside. We saw what happened when you kind of put Tiger and Phil together to play together, and that never worked. So, Cantley and
that was
and
a
Brooks
great
never
decision by
play
Hal Sutton
together.
That was a great decision by Hal Sutton. Yeah, no chance.
Well, I also think, Dave, I think to your point is, they're not playing against each other.
They're going to be in the same locker room, but they're not going to have anything to do with one another.
Yeah, both.
Right.
Well, they are, but they're not playing against each other. They're on a team, so it's back
Yeah.
to that like mentality of, hey, you're on my team now. I'm not competing against you. You're not slowing me down. So first of all, Zach Johnson, this is to you. Don't put Cantley in front of Kepka on any of the
Right.
pitches.
Like that.
Yeah.
That will be hilarious.
Like, don't do that.
Um,
But because then that's just going to create the tension if he's going slow and he's trying to play behind him with this. I mean, have Cantley go off and like on the last group every time.
right.
But it's going to be interesting. But that's the thing, Dave. I think to your point is they're on the same team now. They don't have to like they're not going to be at each other's throats because they're not competing against each other. They're competing with each other, and it's going to change that dynamic. And I do think Kepka's head space is in a better space. I think that when he was winning majors before, he was doing well. Then he went into a slump, and Scotty Scheffler then started winning, and that kind of got in his head, and he didn't know what to do. But I think he's put himself back to that winning mentality, and I think that I
All
hope
right,
that should.
so I'm literally, let's throw this idea out there. I mean, we know who the 12 guys are. I just quickly jotted down who I think the pods will be. Tell me if you think I'm crazy on these ones. Ricky Jordan, JT, and Brian Harmon. Homa, Cantley, Xander, and Colin Morikawa. And then Scotty, Sam, Wyndham, and Brooks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one that I think you might move is, do you move Brooks in with Ricky Jordan and JT?
That you may
And you put
Brooks
and
there.
you put Wyndham and Harmon together.
That would probably be the only flip flop.
Where'd you put Homa?
With Cantley.
Okay.
And Xander and Colin Morikawa.
I think that's the right pod.
Yeah, Homa and Morikawa together.
Yep.
Morikawa, I think, is the one person that's can jump between any pod here. Him and Ricky are the ones that can kind of jump across spots
because they're both good enough iron players. Here's the thing that scares me about Colin: he's not a great putter.
That's what scares me about this team is putting.
We're a terrible putting team. Terrible. I mean, like Charles Barkley needs to be there saying terrible. Like, where's Barkley talking terrible? I think that the Harmon might be the best putter on that team.
When Ricky's hot, Ricky can roll it well.
True.
Well, same with JT and Spieth. When they're hot, their putters are.
Yeah, they're just
and especially in Ryder Cup, they are great putters in the Ryder Cup. So that's where I think. Are you going off? I think that's where Zach made that for JT was. He's going off Ryder Cup experience.
JT's 6-2-1 in his 2 Ryder Cups. He's 6-2-1 in his 2 Ryder Cup appearances. And you can him with
17-5-2 with the President's Cup.
Yeah, something ridiculous.
Something like that.
Like at some point you got to look and say, you know what? You can sit there and criticize all you want. His record stands for itself. But then the other question is, and we'll just say this name: DJ went 5-0 in the last Ryder Cup.
He did, and that's where I thought he might be picked. Like I thought he might be picked for that. I think that it goes to you've been playing on this other tour, and I think that came into it. I think that was a factor.
Well,
I think that let's
look at his performance. I mean, they had a chance just like Brooks did to play their way onto the team. I mean, Brooks had a chance. I mean, Brooks just played. He just golfed the ball. You had a second, had a top 5 and a win in the majors. Great. I think he puts himself in a better position, and he finishes 6th. If he plays one event on the PGA Tour, he's a lock anyway. So I think that when you look at where these guys are, like you had a chance to play well, you didn't when the money went out of LIV Golf. Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Like. Dave, were you watching the Phillies?
Yes.
Dave, were you watching the Phillies? Okay, all right.
Of course, I'm watching the Phillies game. Brooks is a safe pick. He's kind of he wasn't all in on Liv. He was in for the money. He gets along with the PGA guys. He gets along with the European guys. You've seen Rory over there congratulating Brooks. DJ kind of probably would have been the only other one that he's just calm and mellow and stoned. And
can we say that on here?
Needs another drink.
I mean, never mind.
Yeah. We're not live, are we?
Well, so here's the thing I think with these picks is if you look at the people that automatically made it on the team.
Yep.
Do you know how many Ryder Cup appearances between all 6 they have?
Well, there's 3 of those guys are rookies. So Scotty has 1, Cantley has 1, Xander has 1.
Schauffele has 1.
So if we do the math, they have 3.
Yes.
So Ricky has 4 by himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like Koepka has 3.
Ricky's the old guy.
Koepka has 3. Justin Thomas has 2. Morikawa has 1. And
JT's got
Sam
2.
Burns is the only one. No, JT has 3.
He's the only rookie.
No, JT has 2. You're right. JT has 2.
Yeah, JT
has 2.
He's the only rookie that he picked. And let's be real, that pick was safe for Scotty, is all that was.
That's exactly what that was. But I think that shows you these picks is it would have been had you taken out Ricky, had you taken out Koepka, who are going to be your old guys on this one, then the people you're going to put in, the experience wasn't there. And I think that's where these picks came in.
Well, and when you look at the pick, I mean, you kind of need that rah-rah Captain America guy. And I think they got that with Justin. Jordan was going to be on the team regardless. He was in the top 10, and his name's Jordan Spieth, so he was going to be there regardless. I think Jordan has a lot to say. Here's the other thing. That Ryder Cup committee, Jordan and JT are both on that Ryder Cup committee as players. So they get a lot more say in that room with the Ryder Cup guys. And I think that when you look at, you said it last night, Greg, I think that, could this be a turning point for him? And then we talked about Sergio, when we talked about Adam Scott and their picks between Ryder Cup and President's Cups. And again, you can say what you want about Ian Poulter, who, if you looked at his play in stroke play events, didn't really deserve a lot of captain's picks. And yet every year got a captain's pick for the European team. Why? Because he's Ian Poulter.
Yeah. Well, and there are those players out there that when you put them in this environment and this type of events, they show up.
Right.
And I think that's where, when we were making our picks last night, like JT was one that I looked at the numbers. I looked at, like I said, the stats. Like he had missed 5 out of 8 of his last cuts and hasn't been playing well. And if any other player was like that, I would have been like, nope, he's way out. Like I'm not even considering him. But because of who he is and how he plays on the Ryder Cup and the experience he has, that's why I'm okay with him being in here.
Well, and he said in an interview earlier today that he even admitted he put too much pressure on himself this year to be one of the qualifiers, for the Ryder Cup. He said he felt the pressure to try and alleviate that choice for Zach to make an automatic qualifier. And I think it affected his play, and he's admitted to that. Granted, you can't 3-putt every green, thinking about trying to make Ryder Cup points. But I think it had something to do with it. He's open and honest about it. And, he's going to be paired up with Jordan pretty much the rest of the time. And, hopefully they carry each other around the course.
I'm questioning them playing alternate shot together. I can tell you that right now. I almost think that you put Ricky and Jordan together in alternate shot, and JT sits out alternate shot.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad. Like, I think JT is the one you fill in at times, and that's where you're gonna use him at the right moments, and that's gonna be the tough decision when they're putting this together. But you're also gonna have to look at, like, what's the European team putting out there too. So what are going to be those matchups?
Well, they're going to have the hottest player in the planet right now, and Victor Hovland.
Yeah. And Rory's playing great too. But then
Yeah.
Right.
it's like I said when we were talking about the season recap, at the beginning of this season, who were the two people we were talking about that we thought were going to dominate this season? John Rahm and Scotty Scheffler.
Scheffler. Yep.
Yep.
Oh wait.
And they started
John
off
Rahm will be
they started off super hot and then kind of just
Hi.
fizzled out. Hey,
Can't get out of here. Go put a shirt on.
Steve, are you ready
My
for the high
school
winds and
shirt was
hurricane?
dirty.
Luke's ready to fly away in the high winds of the hurricane. Go to bed. You know what's funny is I was looking at the radar. We may get missed. Like the
Yeah,
outer
that's what I'm
bands.
talking about.
Yeah. We may
So
not get
I'm looking
picked,
at
so.
I'm looking at the European standings right now, and of course Rory and John Rahm are already qualified.
And so is
Victor.
Victor.
Robert McIntyre is 3. Yannick Paul is 4. Adrian Maroc is 5. Victor Perez is 6. Tommy Fleetwood 7. Ramus Hogar is 8. Shane Lowry's 10. Tyler Hatton is qualified. Victor Hovland qualified, but he's 17.
Victor Howland's qualified. They've announced 3 picks.
They have a
that
different.
it's- Yeah, they have a different way of
They have
qualifying.
two systems.
Yeah.
They have 2 systems that qualify into them, and Victor
Yeah.
is number 3 in the other one.
Yeah.
So I think Victor, Victor, Rahm, and Rory are there. I think Fleetwood and Lowry are going to be there. I think Sepp Straka will be there.
Mhm. Do you take the Fitzpatrick brothers?
I take one
Not
of
the
them.
brother. You don't take the other one.
No,
He's not.
although
He's
again, he played well at the British, and
Yeah.
he's won since then on the Challenge Tour.
yeah.
Like he won his
But-
next start.
But here's the thing:
So-
are you gonna take a challenge tour player? Is what I'm asking. Like that's
You know where else he's played? Funny enough, he played the Zurich this year.
he did. He's played.
Yeah, he played- yeah.
on events. But what I'm saying is, you're not gonna if you're taking him just for because his brother like that. This is the difference between taking JT, where JT has experience, has been on the tour, done all this.
Right.
You're just taking this. You're taking him because he's now played once, and he's a great player, and I think he could get there. I just don't think this is the year to do it.
No,
Mhm.
no. Do I think 2 years from now he may be back on the team when it comes back to America? There's a pretty good chance. I think.
That I think it's a great chance.
Although-
if he
although-
continues down this track.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean they just picked. I mean, the question is who's going to be the next Ryder Cup captain when it comes back to America at Brookline? Are we going to take Tiger? Or not Brookline, Bethpage. That would have been Phil's Ryder Cup captaincy.
So you know who won the last Open at Bethpage?
Lucas Glover.
So if he's still keeping this up at that point, like I think you make him a captain. It's like an alternate captain.
You got to be. Well, no, you know who I think. Actually, they just made. It was interesting. They added Stuart Sink as an assistant captain, and I think he's in line to get the captaincy at Bethpage.
Yeah.
that's probably the actual answer. I don't think. I think everyone wants to see Tiger as a captain.
I don't think
But I
Tiger
don't-
wants to see Tiger as a captain.
I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, I think based on his captaincy at the President's Cup when they went to Australia and everybody liked playing for him, I do think it's going to happen at some point. I just think that they're trying to get through the rotation with Davis and Jim and those guys and Zach, and now they're adding Stuart Sink into the mix. I think the next time we go back overseas in 4 years, I wouldn't be surprised if Tiger took a team overseas.
So I do think that if Tiger hadn't had the injuries, hadn't been like in the state that he's in right now, and he was a playing captain, that would have changed some things.
Yeah.
I think he would have been a captain sooner had he been, because that would have been a cool thing to see is having a playing captain.
Well, like he
We
did
haven't
with
had
like
that
he
in a
was
while.
playing because he was playing captain on the President's Cup team when they were at Royal Melbourne last go.
Yeah.
When he partnered with JT.
So like that's where I think that would be interesting to see, but you're not going to see that.
Isn't the last playing captain Arnold Palmer?
Yes.
I believe so.
Random facts for the night there. All All right, so let's compare our picks. You guys both had 4 right. I had 5. I had 5. Lucas missed out on both of us. All 3 of us picked Lucas. He didn't get in. You guys picked Keegan, and the difference was I picked JT, and you guys went with Keegan.
Yeah, none of us had Sam.
No, and I think there were a lot of people that didn't. I thought Sam was.
I know we did talk about him protecting Scotty last night. We did
right.
make that.
Yeah,
but it's
Sam was my next guy. Like Sam was my next guy to go in because I didn't think Cameron Young was the right pick. I don't think he's ready for this. I think he's going to be there soon, but I don't think this was the year. Sam Burns.
I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him win. Like, give me a win. Show me you can win on the PGA Tour before I'm going to pick you.
Exactly, and then that's where I think. But also, like I said, when I went with the average since June 1st at the Memorial, Sam Burns' average was 34.8, and Cameron Young's was 39.8. So even based on that, I'm going with Sam as the hotter hand right now. So, and that's where my thoughts were with that. I liked Keegan. I liked Keegan's mentality for it. That's where I wish he would have been in there for it. But I think Keegan has rubbed people the wrong way over the years, and I don't know that
I love his attitude. I love that the last time he was there when they got beat, that it took him a year to unpack his suitcase, that it just sat in the corner because he was so mad. I love that fire and that tenacity, especially in the Ryder Cup. Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's an intangible. But when you look at, and I mean, Keegan's won twice this year. JT hasn't won. Jordan hasn't won this year. Colin hasn't won this year. Ricky's won once. What's Sam Burns' record in wins this year? How many wins does he have?
I think he has one. He might have one.
He won match play. Okay, so therein lies why I take Sam Burns, because he won match play. I mean, it's an easy. He won match play. So you're dealing with somebody that can play match play.
He beat Rory to get into the finals.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, although I do not want to see that rematch in the Ryder Cup. I'm just going to say that out loud right now. I don't want to see that rematch in the Ryder Cup. So when you look at it from wins, Keegan's track record this year and his play as of late, I mean, he's got more wins than the entire he has as many wins as the entire captain's pick combined this year. But again, when you look at
how many Keegan
has 2 in this season. He won Zozo last October, and then he won Hartford. He won Zozo, and he won Hartford.
Okay, and then you got Fowler, who won one, and Koepka. So okay, I gotcha.
Well, what? No, you're right. He has. There's 3 wins there because Sam won match play. Okay, yeah, you're right.
So it's one less. That's what I thought. I was like, I thought he only won 2, and didn't think there was.
So when you look at where do we go with these guys? I mean, does Colin Morikawa know how to win? Well, he's won 2 majors, so I mean, you can back that up. JT's got 2 majors. Jordan has 3 majors. Ricky's won again finally and is playing better. Brooks obviously knows how to win. So I think that there's when you look at these guys, they've all won. Again, the Cam Young factor.
Ricky is I feel, and he's always been this on the team. He's that guy on your team that's going to pump everybody up in that, like, having fun. Like, he's the guy that's going to have a good time. And it's from that one pick, but when he didn't have a girlfriend at the time, and everyone's kissing their wives, and he's just like,
And then he went off and married Allison Stoke. We'll just leave it at
that. But that's my point. Is his fun mentality. Like, we'll keep it loose. We'll keep everyone in the right kind of mindset to play out there. And I think with his winning mentality that he's had this season through his play, he's going to be that good person that has that experience on here.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that.
So when you look at Ricky, like, his scoring average this year puts him in the top 10, for scoring average. Just overall, he's ahead of Homa, Morikawa, and Wyndham Clark as far as scoring average.
Wyndham has
goes,
an elevated event and a major this year, though.
Yeah.
And he won Wells Fargo and the Open, the U.S. Open. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is I'm more excited, funny enough, about the 6 picks than I am the automatic qualifiers. I think the 6 picks are going to be the deciding factor in this because I think they're going to be ones that are going to have more impact.
Yeah, you're going to have to look at the 6 picks on how do they play with the automatic qualifiers. If you're going to pair people up, you automatically qualified. Okay, great. Who else is left out there that we can choose from that, make these pairings work?
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting for that. And I think that's where some of these picks came in. I think that's like we said, Sam Burns comes in because he's the pick for that. JT comes in because it's more of, I'm also going to pick Jordan because he was on the outside looking in. So I'm not going to leave him and Koepka out. So you're going to bring that in.
They were 7 and 8.
Yeah. So I think these are good picks. I think this is going to be an interesting Ryder Cup. Do I think it's one of our stronger teams?
No,
I don't.
No, I don't. And I'm going to say this. Do I think that we could easily continue not winning on European soil? Yes.
But I also do think this team could win. I'm
not arguing that. Yeah.
I don't think it's one where I'm looking at the team and going, no, this is not going to be, you're not going to show up. Because to be honest, when I'm looking at the European team and what that's going to probably fold out to be like, I feel this is going to be an exciting Ryder Cup. I honestly do. I don't think it's a blowout. I think that it's going to be the top players in this Ryder Cup that were the automatic qualifiers were the top players in the Tour Championship. Like they were in that, making it exciting. And I think the factor is Victor Hovland is playing like Michael Jordan right now. And he's out for blood.
Yeah.
Right.
But can he keep that up with, 2 weeks off here, 3 weeks off here and, keep that same mental focus going in?
Well, and that's why I kind of had Lucas Glover as my first pick, is because I think he had that mentality on the U.S. side, and we don't have that. And I feel Lucas would have been that kind of counter to Victor Hovland, and I think that would have been a good pick. And that, in my opinion, would have taken JT or Sam Burns out.
Yeah, that it probably would have taken out Sam Burns.
Yeah. Yes.
And I think
Lucas could have played. Lucas could have filled those shoes playing with Scotty in the Sam Burns shoes playing with Scotty.
Yeah, that's the thing is my most disappointing leave off of this is Lucas. I think that's the pick that I think could have been had a great impact. And now, I mean, hindsight's 2020, so we don't know what could have happened. He could have just all of a sudden stopped playing again. But I think that could have even propelled him into next season and made him playing great again, because he's playing great right now. And I think that momentum would have kept going.
I agree.
So when
I look at the European team, I'm going to say it's Rory, Rahm, Victor, Fleetwood, Lowry, Sepp, Hatton, Fitzpatrick, and then you get a little of those last 4 picks are kind of more European tour guys. So is it Yannick Paul, Adrian Moronic, and Hogard, and maybe I'm almost, if I'm them, I'm wondering if you take Aidberg, because he's the future of your team as well.
Get him some experience now.
Well, that, and I mean, how good has that dude played since getting winning the collegiate thing and getting on tour? Like, that dude has played some really good golf against the top competition in the world.
Yeah. So I also feel like he would be that player on their team that you wouldn't think is going to have that much of an impact, and would probably have the most impact.
Oh, he could win player of the match.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's where I think
Yeah.
that he's like, it's the guy that you're going to pick last, and he's going to have like, you're going to be like, oh, what? That guy has
What?
more
Yeah,
game.
and he's going to cement himself in as a Ryder Cup stalwart for years to come.
Yeah,
like that's where I see him doing that. But yeah, no. So let's talk now on who wasn't picked.
Well, Steve, you and I weren't picked, so I mean that's just a travesty right there.
True. Dave is the honorary assistant captain. Had no say in that, huh?
Yeah. It was.
Let's start with Cam Young. Freddie Couples on his radio show on Sirius XM 2 weeks ago said that he would be on the plane to Italy. Obviously, he is not on the plane to Italy. None of us picked him last night in our picks for today, and I think we had some really good logic. He's not a good putter, and we already have a team of bad putters on this team when you look at it. So, I think that, and again, show me you've got to win. Like, I can't think of a reason to really take Cam Young, as hard as that is for me to say, as good golf as that dude has played. I honestly think if Cam Young had won an event this year and figured out how to win, that I probably would have taken him.
Here's the thing. Like, I'm pulling up Cam Young's results and stuff this year. I feel Cam Young played consistent over the year, but let's look from January, from the Tournament of Champions. He was 13th, 26th, 64th, 20th, 10th, 51st, 7th, 51st, 59, missed cut, 57, 62, 60. Then the John Deere Classic came, 6th, 8th, missed cut, 31st, 15th. Like, to me,
he has 4 top 10s.
He has
4 top 10s. I was counting them as you were going down this. He has 4 top 10s this year. Since January 1, he has 4 top 10s. So how is he that high up in world golf rankings with 4 top 10s?
He plays a lot.
I mean, that's it.
Like,
I would agree with that. Yeah, the dude's like VJ. He's almost like VJ. He played every week.
That's true. And I respect that. I actually like to see more players do that, because, to be honest, that's what I would want to do. I mean, I only want to I would take time off to want to be with my family. But look at, and even at his scores for some of these events, if you go from, he was 19 under, 18 under, +5. He was +5 at the Phoenix Open. Then he was -5.
Did he party too hard with the Thunder? Did he party too hard with the Thunderbirds? Like, was he at the Crow's Nest every night?
Like, but I'm looking at this, like, when I'm looking at what was winning on tour, you're 10 to 20 under par in a lot of them, in a lot of these regular events, and he only got over 10 under par once.
Where did he finish in the majors this year?
7th at the Masters. That's a big one.
That's a big one.
But then he missed the cut. He missed the cut at the PGA. Missed the cut the following week at the Memorial. He was 32nd in the Open, or in the U.S. Open, and 8th in the Open. So
he had 2 top 10s. He had 2 top 10s in majors. When you look at what are the big events, for a guy who loses basically a stroke a week due to his putter, when you're giving up a quarter of a stroke to the field every round, strokes gained putting, when you're losing a whole stroke a week due to putting, it's really hard to think when you look at how do you put this guy on a team like that.
So here's what I'm going to say. I feel he is the Carmelo Anthony of golf right now, like, where all these players in the NBA, like, we're hyping up Carmelo Anthony, like, saying he's great, we want him on our team, and we want to do all this stuff. Carmelo Anthony's a great player. I'm not trying to say that he's not a great player. I just think he's overhyped because he's liked. I think he's a great golfer, and let's
get this guy a ring type of mentality.
Yeah. Here's my question though: is he liked?
He's liked by by the community. I don't know if by the players. I don't know but like the golf
Right.
community, like that's where
Right.
everyone's like people
But,
like us are saying
Keegan's liked by the golf community too. But the players aren't sold on Keegan. They don't want to. They don't. I mean, obviously Keegan's not there because they didn't want him there. I mean, let's just call it what it is. Because that was the next name we were going to discuss is Keegan. So
so here I'm going to compare Cam Young to Sam Burns because if that's where we're going, those two are right by each other in the rankings.
Right. Yep.
So if I do the same thing and I go from the Tournament of Champions, he was 32nd, 11th, 6th, missed cut, 35th, 6th, 29th, 15th, 11th, missed cut, 6th, 16th, missed cut, 32nd, 19th, missed cut, 14, 52, 15, 9. So it's similar.
4 top 10s.
Mm-hmm.
4 top 10s. It's very similar, but he does have the match play, which isn't on this list, as a win.
Yep.
So like that's I think your deciding factor there.
Okay, so let's take the next name that I have on the list in Tony Finau, who has 2 wins on the PGA Tour this year.
So Tony Finau, I did a lot on him because I like Tony Finau, and
yeah, I'd almost taken Tony last night. There's a lot out there today about why wasn't Tony picked in this.
He's not in any form to be picked on this team.
Not right now.
If you picked him and didn't pick Lucas, there everybody should be questioning that.
So here's the thing I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to read this a little differently for Tony Finau because it makes sense when I do it this way. So if I start at November of last year, when the season like turned around, when we do the quick turnaround, he missed the cut in his first event. Then he won the Candace Bank Houston Open. He was 7th at the Hero World Challenge, 7th at the Tournament of Champions, which he got back into last year. So in his home state or in his in Hawaii, his home state's Utah, but then he was 16th, 9th, 14th, 20th, 24th, 19th, 26th, 31st at Harbor Town. Then he won the Mexico Open. Then he was 23rd, 72nd at the PGA Championship. He missed the cut at the Charles Schwab, 32nd at the U.S. Open, 45th at the Travelers, then missed cut, tied 7th, 64th, 37th, 20th. So up until
six top tens, but one of those was in the second half of one of those was after his win, and that's it.
Yeah,
in Mexico,
and that's what it is. Once he won, he only had one.
Where's
top
that
10.
last? Where's that top 10 too? Where was that?
The 3M Open, right after he missed the cut at the British
as the defending champion.
As the defending champion, yes.
As
and
the
tied
champion.
7th. So like And
Okay.
then, so here's where I would have been with Finau, is when you got into the playoffs. So the FedEx St. Jude Championship, 64th. You made the next week into the BMW.
And Lucas wins.
Yep. Then you go to the BMW, 37th.
In a field of 50. Okay.
Like, yeah. So you're not like, if you wanted to make the Ryder Cup team, this is where you needed to win. This is where I think Colin Morikawa showed off.
Right. Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes. Now, funny, he had the most top 10s in the PGA Tour this year without a win.
Colin Morikawa?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about the guy that we all had picked last night that didn't make the team that we're all disappointed in Lucas Glover. And we're disappointed in him.
This is a drastic turn.
Oh, correct. And I want to preface this by saying, if we're looking for the hottest players in the planet to be on our Ryder Cup team, and if we're looking for when they created this task force and they moved the captain's picks until after the Tour Championship because of the year that Billy Horschel won was kept off the team, then we got smoked in Europe, and we didn't have the hottest player on the planet with us. Lucas Glover's up there right now as the hottest player on the planet right now. But yeah, go down his list because the beginning of the year is like miscut. And he was quite vocal starting at Bay Hill. He was very vocal about the PGA Tour changes.
So yeah, he was. So I'm going to go from September of last year for the Fortnite Championship. where he
Okay.
started 66, 58, 63, 38, missed cut, 39th, missed cut, 51st, 36, 45, missed cut. So I feel like a broken record here. 79th, missed cut, 20th, missed cut. So that takes you to the Travelers Championship, was the last missed cut. Okay.
Okay.
So so he hasn't played in any major because he didn't qualify for any major.
Right.
So now we go to Rocket Mortgage, which I feel was the turning point of the season for everyone.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth.
Yep.
John
he beat
Deere.
Tony he beat Tony that week.
You beat Tony that week. John Deere, 6th. Barbasol, 5th. 3M Open, he missed the cut.
Okay.
Then, 1st, 22nd, 18th.
So he has 5 top 10s this year. All of
And
them are
all at the end of the season.
All of them are
Yeah.
all of them are at the end of the season. So
And 2 of them are wins.
right.
And
Again,
one of those,
and
his
his 2 wins are against relatively full fields.
Well, one's the playoff.
No, there was only 70 players in the first event.
But Scotty, John Rahm, Rory.
Well, no, you had the best players. You had the 70 best players in the world there.
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
the best players in the
best
field.
players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas
Wyndham wasn't Wyndham. You didn't have. You had all those bubble guys that were trying to win and get into the playoffs at Wyndham. You didn't have the guys at the top of the board at Wyndham. I think if you're going based on the fact that you want the hottest players on the planet there, it's really hard to keep him off the team. And since putting the Bill Press special Lab Mez in his bag, he has been an entirely different player. And the dude stripes it anyway. He's one of the best ball strikers on tour. He doesn't miss a lot of fairways. He doesn't miss a lot of greens. If he found, we like to say it's not the Indian. It's not the arrow. It's the Indian. It was the arrow in his scenario. And he fixed the arrow and figured out how to win. Remembered how to win because he already knew how to win. I mean, the dude won a major.
That was my point. Is if he was just a player that had been on tour for a while and just had a last few months that were good, but he's a major champion. That's
Correct.
where I think the difference maker here. That's where I think he
and
knows how to win
on what is arguably the hardest public golf course on the planet.
Yeah, and I was at that tournament. I was at that Bethpage when he won. And it's no, but I'm saying, but to my point is when you see stuff on TV, like when we were at the Masters this year, you can't tell the elevation that some of these courses have. Like you play your public courses, especially in Florida, that are just flat. And there's not a lot of elevation.
Well, even where we were staying that week in Bluffton in the Hilton Head area, flat.
Yeah, that's
we drove what, an hour and 50 minutes and got to the hills of Augusta, Georgia.
Yeah, and I feel those are manicured hills, but Bethpage is 1,000 times worse than that.
Yeah,
Bethpage is ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's an amazing course, but I walked that with my dad, and it was exhausting. And then it poured, and we walked in the rain and everything, and it's such an amazing thing. He won. That's where he won.
And here's the question: I would have put him and Brian Harmon together. I bet you they could have won as many matches as they would have played. I bet they would have won them all if you put him and Brian Harmon. I would have put him and Brian Harmon together to take on Rory and John Rahm, and I would have put money on. And Dave, if you put money on Rory and Rahm in that match, I would have come up in Rochambeau you. I feel like they would have just run over Rory and Rahm. I do. So now let's talk the elephant in the room, and that's the live golfers that were kept off. You had DJ, who was 5-0 in the last Ryder Cup. You have
Captain America.
Captain America, Captain Douchebag. That's what I like to call him. Mr. 58, Bryson.
Victor's 61 is better than the 58.
Oh, correct.
By Bryson.
Correct.
Just saying that.
Correct. A much more difficult golf course. And then
field.
you have Do you throw Phil's name in and then Taylor Gooch?
I don't think you throw Phil's name in anymore. I think Phil's past his prime in this. I think
again, Phil got left off the last Ryder Cup team after.
That's my point. You're past. When he got left off the last one, Phil was done with the Ryder Cup.
He did finish second at the Masters this year.
He was outside of Brooks. He was the highest ranked player. Yeah.
Well, and let's say this. You asked that question. Look back to when he won his PGA at Kiowa and was kept off the Ryder Cup team.
Yeah.
What else have you done that year?
Yeah.
You won the PGA at 51. Your best finish that year outside of that was 17th.
You dominated the Champions Tour.
You dominated the Champions Tour, which you should have done to begin with, and taken your ATM machine and just stayed there. But I don't playing on the Champions Tour, and I'm going to say this: beating Bernhard Langer is a feat in itself. Let's just call it what it is. That dude is I still don't understand how that dude keeps winning.
He should be on the Ryder Cup team.
He really should. All that guy does is win. Although, could you imagine him and Patrick Cantley in a pairing against each other? How slow that would be. That'd be like watching paint dry.
Oh my god! I want that. I want Cantley and DeChambeau versus Bernhard Langer and Sergio.
Oh wow!
Oh,
that's painful.
And they have the first tee time, and then you tell everybody else to show up at 1:00. And they'll probably be on the third hole.
But that's with Phil. You look at that. It's what have you done for me lately? You're looking at someone like Lucas Glover who won twice, 2 weeks in a row, back-to-back wins. That's impressive.
Phil has one top 10 since going to Live. In that top 10, he was at 1.7 strokes back, and I think he finished even further back than that a couple weeks ago at Bedminster when Cam Smith won. So, did
you hear what Trump shot at Bedminster?
I did. I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. Okay. It was a perfect phone call too. I don't think that Phil to me was never going to be considered anyway because he opened his mouth and pissed everybody off, and nobody wanted him around to begin with. Patrick Reed. Again, who do you pair Patrick Reed with? You used to pair him with Jordan.
The official scorer.
I mean, that's a fair bet. Watch out for the bunker. Is there somebody to rake the bunkers? Who do you pair Patrick Reed with on this team? Because after Jordan said he wanted to play with JT, he got in an argument with Jordan. Jordan doesn't want to play with him anymore. So now who do you pair him with? Well, unless you bring Bryson.
You
got to bring Bryson along. Right.
No, because he's such a hothead. He thinks that he's the best golfer in the world, and he hasn't proven that. He's a great golfer again, but he thinks that he deserves more credit, and I feel that's his MO is, oh, woe is me. No one thinks that I'm the best in the world, but I am. Buddy, you know what I caught cheating many times.
Where's your burner account? Where's your wife's burner account? And let's see what that thing said today. I didn't even look for that one today because, and then Bryson in the 50, and Bryson has a win on the Live Tour. He won at the Greenbrier on a relatively short golf course, par 70, shoots 12 under, which is the equivalent of really shooting 60. On a golf course that Stuart Appleby shot 59 on already.
Yeah.
So I mean, I feel like if Stuart Appleby can shoot 59 out there, Dave could probably break 80. Dave,
and here's the thing:
the championship keys. I'll even.
And here's the thing with Bryson: he's going to complain about his clubs at some point during the match, and he's going to be over analyzing everything, and it's just he comes across as this guy who wants to be this fun guy, but then just complains about it. Why would you want to be teammates with that? Is my question.
So here's the question. I'll throw it out there. Taylor Gooch won 3 times on the Live Tour. He also had a missed cut, and I think tied 42nd in the 2 majors that he played in this year against really full field events.
Taylor Gooch was someone who I would consider for the Ryder Cup.
Here's my problem. He didn't play well. If he had played well in the majors, I might have considered it. In the 2 majors he played in. If he had played well enough in the 2 majors, I would have been like, yeah, you know what, I'll probably take it. Because he won 3 times and he beat fields that had at least 10 good players in it. I don't think that Taylor Gooch, though, has proved enough. I mean, if he had 2 top 10s in the majors that he played in, I would have been like, yeah, you know what, I'd consider that. He's playing some really good golf. He's played consistent golf all year. 3 wins on the LIV Tour. Here's the problem. I'm still not sold, and we've played Orange County National together. Like, we've all played Cricket Cat. It's not the hardest golf course in the world. You can hit it anywhere. Like, the golf courses that they've played on LIV outside of Bedminster really haven't been that difficult. Valderrama, okay, Valderrama's Valderrama. But, like, the rest of the golf courses haven't been they're not on the list to really host U.S. Opens. Let's just say that.
It's exhibition golf at its finest.
Correct. And winning on an exhibition tour versus winning on the PGA Tour, there are 2 different things, and we all know that.
Exactly. And that's, I mean, but I do think winning is still winning. Mm-hmm. So with having 3 wins and being like what he's doing there is still showing that competitiveness. That's why I would have considered him. I don't think he should have made it, and he didn't. My scramble team has won 2 events this year. So if we've won 2 scramble events, does that mean that we should play in the Ryder Cup because we've got 2 wins? That's kind of how I feel. Like, I like turtles. But no, I mean, like if you're saying that, like, exhibition golf is exhibition golf. Yeah.
Like you got to question, the wins out there. And again, I think LIV is trying to stretch and say they need to get world golf ranking points and this, that, and the other. I still don't think there's a lot of integrity in LIV. I just don't.
No.
I'm going to say this. I think the events are fun, and I will give them that credit. There's music going that you can hear throughout the golf course and different things like that. I think there's a lot going on. I just don't think the golf courses they're playing are all that difficult. And the golf courses they've played that have been difficult, the scoring has been down. And then when you look at courses like in Brooks won at Orange County, I mean, let's call it what it is. Brooks won at Orange County National, not Cricket Cat. Cricket's, I mean, it's a good golf course. We all know that. It's a long golf course if you play it all the way back. But that's all it is. And tour players really don't care how long a golf course is. They don't. They'll hit it far. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, but Brooks also won at LA Country Club, so he's
No,
I'm sorry,
no,
not at Oak Hill. Sorry, at Oak Hill.
He won at Oak Hill. Yeah, he won at Oak Hill.
I said the U.S. Open course.
No.
So yeah, he won at Oak Hill. So I mean, so that's where he's proven himself there. That's where, like I said, Taylor Gooch, I'd consider, but I think there's too many other people here that on the tour that were left off that are above him. So that's where it's not. I think of the LIV players,
I would put
he's
Lucas Glover's 2 wins are better than his 3 wins.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is of LIV players, I think Taylor Gooch is the top one I would take after Brooks.
Would you have taken, here's the question, Taylor Gooch with 3 wins or Keegan Bradley?
Keegan.
Okay, there's the answer.
Yeah, no, that's
Keegan
what I'm
was up saying. Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I'm comparing Taylor to his peer group of LIV. I'm not comparing him to the PGA. And that's where I think that that's where you look at like the DJs and the Captain Americas and all like that, like, and the DeChambos, and you look at those and just say, you're not. I would take DJ probably second in that list because of his experience and his 5 wins.
That
is true.
That is true.
That is, and I said Glover was my first pick. Like that was, and it's because he's the hot hand. And I'm a believer, like the USA, I'm wearing a hockey jersey, Team USA hockey jersey right now. In 1980, the US hockey team, they put together the best team. It wasn't the best players around. It was the best team. They took the players that were hot at the time. They took the players that would play together. And that's what you're looking for. That's where I think JT is a good pick as play together.
Yes.
But I think we missed the ball on Lucas Glover and 100%. But I don't feel I don't feel there's someone on there that I'm like, okay, I would take him off immediately.
Here's the question. So you take Sam, obviously, to play with Scotty, right? I mean, that's the reason you took Sam is to play with Scotty because they're like this. So who do you put with Scotty if you don't take Sam and you take Lucas? Because let's just be there. There's there were three guys for one spot, and it was Sam,
Yep.
Keegan, and Lucas. So if you take Lucas, then Lucas probably ends up playing with Brian Harmon, would be my choice of who you pair him with. Or you know who else I would consider putting him with is Brooks. And let Brooks just wail at it. Brooks hit driver everywhere. Like hit it, just hammer it. But who do you put with Scotty then?
I'm actually going to put Lucas with Scotty for the putter.
Yeah.
And that's why. But
Lucas and Scotty
an alternate shot. An alternate shot. I mean, yeah.
That's where it's tough in here is I think that winning mentality of Lucas Glover would rub off on Scotty, and Scotty would kind of get back in form a little bit. And that's where I think it would help out.
Yeah.
I think Sam Burns is a good pick. I think Sam Burns, that's where I'm not like, it's tough in this one. It's not one where I'm like, oh, you made the wrong pick. And
you know what I would actually do? And this is going to sound crazy. If they took Lucas, here's the pod that I would have put Scotty in. I would have put Scotty with Ricky, JT, and Jordan.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad choice.
Yeah.
And then moved Harmon in with Wyndham Brooks and Lucas Glover.
Okay.
And there's the move that you make, and you leave Colin with Xander, Cantley, and Max.
I like Colin, Xander, Cantley, Max.
Yeah.
I really like that pod.
Yeah. Because, Cantley and Xander are going to play together for.
They're going to play together. I mean,
unless they both sit in the afternoon round.
I just feel like your Max Homas, your Scotty Schefflers I started off the season really hot. There was a lot of hype around me. I played well, and then I kind of just stayed mediocre.
Here's my question. If you didn't take Sam, would you have put Max with Scotty?
I might have. I don't think it's
Possibly.
a bad choice. I think there's a lot of combinations you could do here, but I don't think the picks are bad. I think Zach made good picks. I think that I think the decision is there, and I think that I feel bad for Lucas because I feel he should be in, but I don't. It's not one of those where I feel like he should be in and this person should be out. That's not where I'm at. And Keegan, I feel, is the third man out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel he came in and he had a great year because I feel like Keegan, we were talking about constantly throughout the year of like, he's showing up, he's doing well. He would fall off a little bit in some events, but
hey, Dave,
overall,
let me ask you this. Dave, I'm going to ask this question. Do you have the picks from this year up in front of you?
I can't. Yeah, hold on.
I just want to know how many times.
I don't think any of us took Keegan this year.
No one
so
picked Keegan this year.
So that's my question. Did anybody pick Keegan this year? And
But I only think we only didn't pick Keegan is because Keegan hasn't been. Keegan was hot years ago when he won at Harbortown, when he won, like he was winning before, and when he was on teams before. Then he went through a slump, and now he's getting back.
Well, and again, I'm going to blame the putter ruling and the anchoring ban on his slump.
Yeah, no, that was a big change to it, and I think that was a dumb ruling. But
that's
that's a different conversation. But
that's a different conversation for another day. But yeah, no,
but I think
none of us took Keegan.
No, but I think he's doing the right things now, and I think next year could be a great year for him if he keeps this up. And that's where my thing to Lucas Glover and to Keegan Bradley is continue on the path that you're on. You didn't make this. Don't let this mentally mess with you next year.
No. Well,
I think they both really want
all of those guys that made the Tour Championship are in all four majors automatically next year, and all of the elevated events.
Yep.
So, and again, Lucas Glover talked about after he won at Wyndham that
they're not called elevated next year. They're the signature events.
Signature events, yeah, whatever they are.
They're the signature series, like your hotel.
You're right. I think that those guys in those events, for the most part, outside of the three invitationals, I mean, the signature events are guaranteed money for those guys. The the invitationals are invite only still, and they are cut. There's cuts in those events. But I think that when you look at what these guys now have from a, here's my question, what we're going to see next year, now that this is coming into fruition for just the no longer wraparound year. How many guys outside of the guys that made the tour championship that are in all the events for next year, like the top 50, how many guys move out of the top 50 and how many guys move into the top 50 next year, different from this year? And the reason being is because all those guys are in so many of these events that they're making points and money every week. Like, is that going to be the good old boys club? And that's an entirely different conversation for next year at some point for us to have.
Oh, 100%. Before the season starts, we have to have that conversation.
Yeah. But I think that there's you have to question what is how easy is it going to be to move in and out of that group now with all of this happening? You're going to have to get a guy, let's say, and we've mentioned his name tonight, Ludwig Aberg, who is probably on the outside of the top 50. I guarantee he's on the outside of the top 50. But, I think that how many of those guys can move in and out because these guys are in all of these events?
It's going to be interesting, and I think that's a topic for another day. But here's the thing: we're here to talk the Ryder Cup. I think we have a good team. I think we have a good shot. It's going to be tough. We haven't won in Europe, like you said.
You know what I think? I think the one thing that scares me is that when you look at this list, in the past we've had the Tigers and the Phils and DJ and Brooks and all of these guys that were just consummate winners. Every year we're getting wins on the PGA Tour. And when you look at this list, there aren't a lot of guys that, Jordan past record, great. JT past record, great. Ricky still doesn't have a major. He might be the best player to never win a major right now. We have Scotty. And Scotty might be the most inconspicuous number one player in the world on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that big, I honestly feel like one of the reasons you needed to take JT is that you needed that guy that was going to be the face of the team in the team room, that was going to yell and scream and do all those things that you need to have and be there to give interviews with a microphone, because you don't have those guys on that team.
I think the only least inconspicuous number one in the world is the captain of Europe this year.
Padraig?
He's not the captain. I thought
Luke Donald.
Luke Donald. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no. Yeah, my bad. No, you're right.
But you're right. It's when and I talked about this earlier, is the 6 automatic qualifiers have a lot less experience in Ryder Cups than your 6 picks.
Captain's
and I think that had a lot of impact on these picks, was the experience that's there. Their play this year, without take JT out of that, but because JT didn't have a great year.
No.
And that's going to be the deciding factors. I think that's where Zach was looking at this. I think Zach was looking at, hey, I need this experience. I need these people to kind of take the top 6 and say, this is how we play this. Because I kind of want to see that, that matchups of, you need to put Ricky with someone like Homa that might not have all that experience in this.
Yeah.
And that's going to make the difference here. It's going to be interesting. It's going to come down to play. I almost think you're going to have to look at Victor, and if Victor's playing hot and Rory's playing hot, then let's take on another match and try to get something there, because like I said, Victor's out for blood with the way he's playing right now. He is
That's when you put
hands.
Cantley and Shoffley up against them and
slow him down.
Well, here's the problem. Here's the problem with the Ryder Cup
gonna...
though. Here's the problem. You don't get the President's Cup. You get to pick who you play against. The players can say, I want to play against this guy, and they can try and make that happen. In the Ryder Cup, you just put your team. You just put players into a match and say, this is my players for match 1, and that's literally that's how they do that. It's basically a blind draw. So
which I love. I think it's great.
I think it's great, but I also think, man, that's tough to. it's going to be tough to do. It makes it harder to do different things. So you can't have that pairing of Scotty and Sam. You can't guarantee that Scotty and Sam are going to play against Rory and John Rahm. Like, it's just not going to happen.
No, because what you have to do is you can't look at the matchup. You have to look at the team and put, okay, I'm going to put these two together because I think together they're the strongest with that. So you have to take the players that you think, or you're going like, that's where I think you have JT and Jordan of like, I'm going to put those two together if I need to, because that's going to be they're going to do well together. So
right.
I think it's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
I think
I think it's going to
be a fun Ryder Cup.
You get to.
It starts on my birthday, so I'm excited.
It's
about
only
that
the singles
too, so.
where you get to decide who plays who.
No, you don't, Dave. You don't.
No, you just put your order.
You put your order in, and that's it.
In singles,
here's your order.
Yep.
In singles, yes,
12, and that's what it is. So you don't see the other one, and then that's the fun thing. The President's Cup, you do see that. The Ryder Cup's a little bit different in that aspect, and that's the fun thing about the Ryder Cup. So,
Yep. All right. Well, guys, have a good night. We will see everybody Tuesday next week.
If you've gotten your email for the draft, if you're one of our players, if you haven't, we also we'll post up for the NFL and college picks, so everyone can join that, have some fun with the NFL and college season this year.
We are up to 5 people have signed up. The Handy Kaepernicks are in there. Bradley, really?
Is this in the fantasy football or the picks?
Yes, the fantasy football.
Okay, well, we need to get I've sent them all out, so we need to get the other people to sign up. We're gonna have to put in some alternates.
Okay. All right, everybody, have a good night.
Cheers.
Cheers. See you guys.
Go USA.
Yes.